If you've been following my talks, if you've been following my studies, you would have noticed something, that usually my concern and my thoughts always, or my research always, have been around capital formation and capital acquisition. How can somebody coming from the verge of poverty, somebody coming from zero, from the minors, how can that person become rich? Sometimes I try to avoid books written by in quote billionaires that didn't start from scratch, billionaires that had their fathers, more like they inherited substance from their father, or they had this cushion or this support. My studies basically have been around people that started from zeros. I don't know, I am drawn to people, and I have this inclination to want to know about how these guys started with virtually nothing and then still went as high as they finally went to. Pastor Odoh would mention names like Lipton. These people started with nothing. The Andrew Carnegies, these are obviously the Western guys. But when you look at the Nigerians, when you look at people here, you talk about people like Dr. Cosmos Maduka, Dr. Stephen Akintayo, and several other guys in the real estate sector, people like Dr. Kennedy Okonkwo, and some virtually younger guys who had next to no support when they started out. They had literally no support when they started out, and those are the people I really love studying. I love consuming their content, because they said success leaves trails, success leaves clues. Because when you hear these people talk, you would definitely get clues of how they went all the way from poverty, from zero, and then to where they are today. More than 70% of Nigerians will start life with nothing. More than 70. I've forgotten the poverty index. I didn't know I was going to quote that, so I didn't go to research it. But the poverty index, a country of more than 200 million people, and you have more than 100 of them living under poverty line. So obviously the investment advice out there wouldn't really suffice for these people. When a Femi Otedola talks about how to become wealthy, most persons in Nigeria wouldn't be able to relate. Because as they say, he had a governor father. But I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm not trying to make excuses for, obviously you should know that's not what we are trying to do in this video. What we are trying to achieve with this video is that how can somebody start from zero and then go up there? That is what my research have always been about. When I got the idea to do this teaching, I was like, what will happen is that I'm going to talk about my library, both audio and physical library, my books, the tapes I listened to, the preachers I listened to. I was going to unveil everything in this video. I don't know how long this video is virtually going to be, but even if it comes up to be 1 hour, I'll just find a way to get to the key points and then to slice the videos into bits that people could easily find over the internet and consume. So let me, like I said, this talk is about capital formation. I'm a Christian. I'm a spirit man, and I'm also a man of strategy. So sincerely, when I talk, I would also bring the spiritual into my discussion. I won't just talk physical. So if you're not a spiritual person, you can actually log off now. But the truth of the matter is, wealth is spiritual, and it has to be, and you have to also apply spiritual strategies, spiritual principles to it. Like Oropo will say, Apostle Oropo, that man in your market has a dibia he sacrifices to. But you, they tell you that it is not about prayer. They tell you that it's not about, everything is not about prayer. Brotherly, they simply want you to leave your advantage so that they can swallow you up. I have my notes here. I did an extensive research. As we are talking, as key points come up, I'm going to show you the books I read. But first of all, obviously, this is my first go-to book, the Bible. I've said this several times. I got this Bible in 2013 during the 9th Missions Conference in Abuja. That's the first and only missions conference I've attended. I would love to attend more. So that's my first go-to book, the Bible. So capital formation. What is capital formation? I'll give the definition. I've also underlined key points in this definition. Capital formation is the process of building and accumulating resources that can generate wealth. I'll read that again. Is the process of building and accumulating resources that can generate wealth. It's a process. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's a process, and you are building something. You're trying to accumulate resources that can generate it. What is wealth? Robert Kiyosaki defined wealth as the number of days you can live if you decide to stop working today. Let's say what you spend every day is $1,000, and then at the end of the day you've accumulated $1 million. If you spend $1,000 every day, is simply to know how long you will last with $1 million. Is just to do $1 million divided by $1,000. So you get to know how many days you would last if you stop working today. So if you have $1 billion in your account and you spend just $1,000 every day, obviously you know that your wealth is vast. Your wealth is vast. Capital formation is the process of building assets that generate future income. And what are these assets? I have 4 of them here. We have financial capital, which is we all call money. We have human capital, skill, social capital, networks, physical capital, assets. So the reason why I laid this thing out like this is so that you would know that whether you're coming from the zero line, you know that there's something here that you can access. There's a definition I give for poverty, which is lack of access to capital. Obviously, that's what poverty is. We live in a capitalist economy, and for you to be part of a capitalist economy, you need to have capital. Once you don't have access to capital, you cannot be part of a capitalist economy. And like I have reiterated and I keep saying, capital is not limited to money. That's the problem most people have, is that they think the moment they hear capital, they just think capital has to do with money. But that is a wrong perspective to have. A very, very, very poor perspective to have. To think that capital is just about money. Capital is beyond money, and the lowest of all forms of capital is actually money. We have today people having millions of following on Instagram, and that is also capital. You have somebody like a young man like Pella, who is grossing millions every day because he has a huge following on social media. It is called attention capital. So it is beyond money. So I think I've gone faster than myself. From an economic standpoint, capital includes money, assets, skill, relationships, and systems that produce value. A key thought though: poverty has been defined as the inability to access capital. This means that breaking poverty is not just about money, but about gaining access to resources, knowledge, and opportunities. We'll come back to this again. I'll talk about the principles of capital formation. Because the moment you understand the principles and then you apply these principles, it means obviously that you'll be able to accumulate capital. The first principle of capital formation here is value creation. We are in a third world nation. Third world nations are known to have problems. The one thing that is synonymous with third world nations are problems. And if you use your mental capital right to come up with solutions to this problem, obviously you rise to the top and become a billionaire. The other ones, like I said in the beginning of this, most financial experts that teach financial intelligence always start with savings. They always start with investing. They always start with all of this. But the truth of the matter is, how many persons in Nigeria have savings? How many persons in Nigeria can actually save? So that is where value creation comes. That is where mental capital comes. If you can develop your mind to the point that your mind churns out solutions to the problems you face as a nation, bro. As I'm talking to you, watching this now, I'm also talking to myself. So let's go back. If poverty is lack of access to capital, then to break poverty, these are the 6 things I pointed out here. You have to increase knowledge. You have to build valuable skill. You have to enter the right environment. You have to form strategic relationship. You have to develop discipline. Discipline in terms of saving. Discipline in terms of budgeting. Discipline in terms of controlling your expenditure. And you also have to create system. What do I mean by system? You build structures that produce wealth repeatedly. You don't have to always go to the fields to hunt when you are hungry. You take your money and put in systems such as real estate. You put your money in stock that will give you rent, that will give you dividend. You put your money in extended trade funds. You put your money in different markets, other markets that automates your earning, so that you don't have to always work with your hands before you earn. So your journey out of poverty begins when you start building capital intentionally through knowledge, discipline, value creation, and strategic relationship. If you look at it, you will see knowledge, you will see discipline, you will see value creation, strategic relationship. So this is where I will introduce to you several books. Your key to knowledge are books. Your key to knowledge are what? Books. Bro, you need to read. You need to read. You need to read. You need to read. You need to develop your mind. You need to develop your mind. Your key to knowledge are books, and I will keep saying it. You have to increase knowledge. You have to build valuable skill. Start with your mind. Skills, relationship. Start with your mind. Skill, relationship. Which book is this? The Consulting Bible. Get books, brotherly. Read. Get books. Read. Get books. Read. Get books. Read. I'll keep reiterating it. Get books and read. Expand your thoughts. Expand your mind. Learn networking. Learn how to meet people. There's this book I have, Branding Yourself. Let me get it. Sorry, these are crazy books I have on marketing. These are crazy books I have on how to network. This is from Jeff and Odoh, is on marketing real estate. obviously Akin Alabi, how to sell to Nigerians. This is marketing and selling professional services in Akitinito. I think it's less than 20% and above 250,000 naira monthly. So that's to say that it is a crazy thing when it comes to paid employment. So let's say you are part of those that earn 250,000 naira and you save 10%. In 1 year you barely have 300k. 300k cannot buy real estate. You can afford to buy stock, but I wouldn't advise that because you don't even know about stock. What do? Pour that money into books. Get a contact. Get somebody that sells book and buy as much books as possible. See, yes, it is okay as you're starting out.